Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this video, we're gonna get some farms placed just outside of the city of Portland in this open plot of land just outside the city, and then after we get those farms up and running, we're going to connect those to a food processing plant, where then after that, the food will be connected up to the city of Portland, as well as the city of Salt Lake City, sort of across the water. So we're here with our city of Portland. You can see just over here we have a single farm industry, and I think the goal is to pretty much fill out most of this area with farms and fields and hopefully make it feel as natural as possible in this landscape. This is a pretty good area to do it since it's considerably flat, so that works well generally with farms. And then we have this food processing plant over here, which we might move or adjust a little bit. We'll see what happens when we get over there. And then the goal, once we have that completed, is we can then get food sent to Salt Lake City and over to Portland. Now, while doing this, we are going to have to be somewhat conscious about our money, since we are still losing money on a good amount of our passenger routes. Hopefully those are going to start filling in and earning more money as the cities grow and fulfill our demand on these lines. But we're probably not going to end up doing a ton of terraforming since that gets pretty expensive. And especially with the money we have, we don't really have that much to burn. So that's why this location is also pretty good, because there's minimal hills and it still looks reasonable that a farm could occupy this area. Alright, so now the first thing that I think we're going to do here is we're going to get rid of this farm so that we can have one placed that looks a little more natural and fits a little better with what our plan is going to be. And I do like how straight this road is. It also provides sort of a good barrier over here between the water and where our farms will be. So we'll just extend this out pretty much all the way through here, and we'll do it in slightly smaller segments so that the terrain isn't too messed up by it. And so I think this long straight road will be pretty good for what we want to do. So now let's get our industries placed where we want them, and I think we'll get this farm placed probably right about here. It's a good bit away from the main road coming through here. We will delete this road and then build a new one coming straight out of here and connecting to this road. And this looks like to be about as perfect of a 90-degree angle as we're going to get. So we'll just build that. I like that the road, we sort of built the road into the industry, so it helps make it look a little more natural. We'll just fix the landscaping around this quick. And now we can see here we have our first farm placed. And so I think I'd like to follow this logic a little bit more, and we'll get maybe, I'd say 3 to 4 farms in this area. We'll just sort of see how well we space it out. That might be a little overkill for now, but I think getting 3 to 4 farms in this area should produce us a good amount of food. I believe 4 can support an entire food processing plant, so that'll probably be the goal. We'll get 4 industries placed around here. We might end up using this freestyle industry if we can't find anything better, or if we think maybe these farms could produce a bit more, we might just shove one of these in and hide it pretty well next to some of our existing farm industries. And so first, we're going to set up our road grid, and we'll be right back once that is finished up. Alright, so before we get too deep into placing the industries and everything, I set out a basic road grid for the farms and the fields to sort of follow along with, and I think this will be good enough for now. I think there's room to grow up here, but I don't want to sort of bite off more than we can chew, especially with the money we have right now. The terrain gets a little bit rougher as we come out this way more, and I think I just want to fill out this area first, and then in the future, depending on how good this looks, we can expand up here some more. But anyway, next step is probably getting the rest of our farm industries placed. So I think I'm going to put one sort of at this corner. We'll have to do some landscaping and terraforming to make this look good here. I think we'll try to maybe get another one off of this main road, sort of sitting right in the middle of this plot. And then maybe we'll try to fit one around here, and we might face it towards this road instead. So let's start out getting those placed, and then we'll be back once we're ready to start terraforming and preparing for the fields. Alright, so I think this is going to be what we leave off our farms with. I quite like how spaced out they are. I don't think they're too terribly close together or too far apart, and I think this density bodes well if we wanted to expand up this way more. We could probably easily fit another 3 to 4 farm industries up in this area. But anyway, I think now with that, we are ready to start placing down our fields. So we'll pretty much clear out everything within these sort of 3 plots of land. We'll get rid of all the trees, all the rocks. We'll do some work with the landscaping. We'll see what we can do with the money we have, as landscaping does very easily eat into our money if we're not careful with what we're doing. So we're really only going to use it where necessary, such as, I think here we're going to have to smooth this out just a bit more to get this sort of large hump out of here. And then right along here, this seems a bit extreme. So we'll see what we can do with it, although this is a lot of land, so we might have to leave this area sort of empty for now and come back to it later. But I think quickly before we get into anything, let's just clean up this road. So we'll smooth this out. We might even just flatten it. And you can see that was $500,000 just doing that little bit of flattening. So we want to avoid that wherever possible. That hill's getting a little bit better. I think just for the road, we'll do that quick, smooth it out, and just deal with this. Since we really don't have the money to mess around too much with things like this. So that seems pretty good now. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. We'll just give it a quick smooth over so that the connection to the road looks a lot better. And then I think really that's all the work that we'll do with landscaping unless necessary. And so now we'll just come in with our asset eraser tool and just get rid of all these trees real quick. Alright, so now our fields are ready to go. Again, I think I would like to get rid of this lake on this plot of land, but financially that's not realistically possible at the moment. So let's just get our fields placed, see what that looks like, and then we'll try to get some lines running so that we can start generating a decent amount of money. And now here is our fields finally finished up. I think this looks really good in this area. There's so much more that we can do in this area, but as you can see, based on our money, these fields costed quite a good deal of money, and we definitely need to start figuring out how to get some more flowing in here. So I'm happy to leave this off here, and we can come over and start connecting up to our food processing plant. And so now coming into this area, we have the Salt Lake City food processing plant, and I think we're going to delete this because it's sort of out on the water and not really in a good place. We are going to keep it in this same area, but we're gonna smooth out the terrain a bit, make this area a little bit more buildable, and then we'll connect up to this road over here. And once we've done that, we can pretty much start connecting up our lines. So let's start out with our flatten brush, and we'll just flatten out this area. We're going to try not to use too much money while we're doing this, but we do want a nice buildable area. Then we'll just smooth out our coastline, and we should be good to place down our food processing factory. Real quick, we will get rid of all the trees and stuff so that we don't end up with any collision issues or anything with our industry. We will come back in and place some more once we're sort of established, but now that we have this in here, let's rotate this around, and we'll place this in somewhere around here. Alright, so here's where our food processing plant is going to sit, and I think what we're going to do is set up our lines first so we can start getting some money, and so we don't get to the point where we don't have money to buy the vehicles for this line. So let's connect up this road. We'll get a temporary truck station somewhere in this area, and then we'll set up our vehicles and have them shipping food over to Portland. And so for our road, we'll give it a somewhat gentle curve to get us pointed in the direction that we want. And then now that we've done that, hopefully we can snap straight in the direction that we're going. Looks like we might have to adjust the angle of this slightly. So something maybe more along the lines of this will work much better. But we can drag this out now. Thankfully this is all pretty flat, so the cost of building roads here is extremely cheap. And I think at this point we're going to actually build out from this way first. So we'll come out this way. We'll want to make sure that we're completely flat, just for detailing and building up purposes. And then we can extend across this river, and we'll have to choose a bridge that we like. And I think a bridge like this works well. We still have space for boats to get under here for in the future if we start incorporating boats through this river. So we'll build this. I'm not a huge fan that the bridge defaults to the sort of city street texture. I'm not too sure how to fix that. Maybe it's one of the mods I have enabled, but we'll try to make this blend in the future once we have more things unlocked. But now, pretty much, we'll just try to connect up to our existing road. So we can now follow this along, and we'll extend this straight out. And then it should just be as simple as connecting a small curve between these roads, and we can get our vehicles going. And so we'll start out with a basic truck stop. I think we'll get a few since we'll have quite a good amount of trucks coming through here. So yeah, we'll do this. This should work out. Now we do have to keep in mind, although we have 4 farms and enough capacity to fully upgrade the food processing plant, we're only going to be supplying Portland at the moment, which only requires 39 food. And I think even just the level 1 food processing plant should be able to handle that pretty much no issue. So we're not going to connect all of these farms to the food processing plant immediately. This will sort of be something that we slowly build up on as demand builds, but we have ourselves set up for a very bright future within this setup. And so what we're going to do is find our truck unload stop, and it looks like a large amount of the food can be covered if we just drop it off right here, or maybe we can just get it in the center of the city, cover everything. We're not going to worry about emissions or anything quite like that just yet, but I think we will clean up these roads a little bit just so that there's a tiny bit more of an organic grid, and this will also help get our trucks around the city just a bit better. And so now with that truck stop, all we have left to do is build a road depot. We'll get a road depot out here. Eventually we'll have to build a designated road depot for sort of this region of the map, but we're not quite connected enough to do that. So we'll just get this out here. We can use pretty much any of these cargo horse-drawn wagons to move all of this. But we'll go with these American horse-drawn carriages, and setting up the grain line will probably get about, I'd say 18 of these we'll start out with. We'll see what kind of capacity we can bring with that, and we'll just go to the closest farm for now since our vehicles are so slow. We'll sort of want to value our time as we're doing this. So then we'll just call this line Portland Farm 1. And in hindsight, I think we should have made these have 2 terminals. Some of these we might be able to do, like this one actually wouldn't be too hard to add a second terminal. We just have to adjust the land. But I think some areas might be a little bit harder to just switch to 2 terminals, just because we're gonna have so many trucks coming through here. We'll probably want to set an alternate platform pretty much for both of these, so we can do that just because these horses can hardly carry anything, and they'll just basically get in each other's way. But anyway, this group of horses is going out. We can now buy another group, which will probably be a little bit less since, or maybe even actually about the same, since the distance is much farther, but the ratio is a bit off since it's 2 grain for 1 food. So we'll come from this truck station all the way over into the city of Portland. We'll specify this to only load food, and then we'll rename this, and that should be the line setup. We'll let it run for a little bit, and then we'll adjust the rates once they're sort of established. And so now over here with this food processing plant, I just want to add a little bit of detail to it. Now we're not going to do too much since it's probably not going to get past level 1 or 2 for quite a while now. I want this to look natural as we come through and do this, so we'll probably only add maybe a building or 2 and do some blending, but again, it's not really going to be too much, just enough to make it look a little bit nicer than just the default food processing plant. And then we'll also find a good spot to have this truck stop sort of blend in, and we'll pretty much just go from there. Alright, so I think this is going to be how we handle the food processing plant. We have a drop-off truck stop for all the grain coming in over here, and then this will be where all the food comes in and gets taken out of. So I think this is a pretty good starting off point. We have plenty of room over here to expand, and plenty of room over here to expand as well. So once this industry starts upgrading and looking a little bit more higher density, we can come through and do all that. And so the final thing I think we have to do is just adjust these stops. So we'll want to take out this one. We'll add this, which is our grain drop off. So we'll make sure that this is unloading everything. We'll also set an alternate platform since, again, we just want to be able to be prepared for all the trucks that are going to come through here. And then we'll pretty much just do the same thing on the food side. We'll get rid of this connection, bring it over here, and we should be good once we set this stop up. And we can see here at our food processing plant, our grain is starting to come in, and we're slowly starting to produce a tiny bit of food. Our trucks are still slowly working their way around, so it's obviously going to be a while. However, now would probably be a good time to check our rates. So let's check our Portland farm rate. This one's at 33. If we we come over to Portland and we see it needs about 41 food. Maybe we adjust for growth and say 45 food. So then, because it takes 2 grain to make 1 food, we will want the rate on this line to be at 90, because it takes 2 grain, 90 divided by 2 is 45. That would then be the ideal rate of food coming out of this stop, which correlates to the number we just defined over in Portland. So we'll try to hit those numbers, and we'll just do that by duplicating the amount of vehicles we have on the line. This takes us up to about 65, as we can see here. So one more should get us pretty close. 98, I'm okay, that's close enough. Things are going to grow, so it's okay with this rate being that number. What we don't want is to have our rate running higher than the maximum production rate at the farm, because then at that point our trucks will be running partially empty and we'll pretty much just be wasting money. So it's going to be a while for these trucks to go around. We can take a look at the food line, which is only operating at a rate of 12, which again we wanted to get to ideally 45. So this is also going to be a lot of vehicles on this line. So we'll duplicate that, get that up to 23. We'll actually gather all these and duplicate it again, and that should get us to 47, which again is right around where we wanted. So now I'll speed this up and let these trucks go out and get on their way, since it'll probably be a while. We ordered probably almost 100 vehicles there, or not 100, maybe like 50 realistically, but still going to take a while for these trucks to get out and get to their destinations. And it'll also be a while before we start gaining some money. So I'm going to speed this up, skip through some time, and then we'll come back once all of our trucks have filtered out, and we'll see if we're starting to make any money on this line. And finally, all of our trucks have emptied out of this road depot. The whole food processing plant is completely empty, as the trucks are basically on their trip out to wherever they're going. Looks like things are starting to get to the farm, and we have a few horses starting to come back full of grain. So that's good to see. It's going to be a while still before they start making money, but the production is there. So just a little bit more waiting, and we should start to see our profits come in. And now it seems like a lot of our trucks are finally finishing up their return trip to the food processing plant. We can see they're starting to drop off over here. Let's just double check. They do have the alternate platform selected, so they should be able to just come right in, drop off their food, and leave without really any interruption. Our money is slowly starting to turn around. Let's see if we take a look at this line's finances. We can see we're finally starting to turn this thing around. We have plenty more trucks coming in that's going to increase this bar even more. So I think we just have a little bit of waiting to do until we finally start turning a profit. We can see here we really haven't been losing that much money compared to, I guess, the past, but things are starting to look good for us. Now, unfortunately, it seems like our food line hasn't dropped anything off, but we did just get one come in, so that's exciting. It looks like that one made about 18,000 just from that one drop-off. So hopefully once all of our vehicles are more spread out generally across this route, things will go much better, as we can see our massive amount of trucks coming into Portland. They're all going to slowly sit and wait at this truck stop for quite a while, but let's take a look at our lines and see if any other lines have started turning us a profit. Looks like a lot of our passenger lines are still losing us money, but again, that's to be expected as we're really only using them to jumpstart city growth. Lincoln is still doing really well. Let's take a look at that city. It's just a small town by the river, but I think we placed these stops pretty much perfectly for meeting the passengers' demands. And then, of course, the only other line making us a profit right now is our grain line, which we've just established, and those trucks are coming back and heading out. So these trucks are already pretty spaced out on their line. They'll slowly even out the longer we sit, but I think we're finally in a good position. Of course, I can't say for sure that we'll be okay financially, but based on these early trends, we are very much in a good position. So now while we wait for our money to get better, I think I want to make a connection to Salt Lake City. This should be fairly cheap relative to pretty much everything else that we've done so far. We're not going to get too deep into it because, again, I do want to keep an eye on our money. In case this doesn't work out, I want to have some left over as sort of an emergency fund if we have to set up some line really quick to make us money. But pretty much we're going to get a port here along the back side of this food processing plant. We'll set up one somewhere in here. It'll most likely be a temporary one in Salt Lake City until the city grows a bit more and we can get a really good spot and design it well. But we'll get that connection made, and then it's just a matter of trucking it to wherever the city needs. And then we'll have two connections to food, therefore increasing demand for pretty much everything else along this line. But let's get started real quick with a cargo harbor, and I think we need to flip this around. We'll go with a large one just in case if we need to use a large ship for this or in the future. We'll fix our terrain around the port, and then pretty much from here it's just a matter of getting this road placed. We'll pretty much just bring this straight across, bring this straight down, and we should be able to delete that, and hopefully we're connected. Yes, we are, because the industry is glowing. I think eventually we can connect this road back around and finish this loop, but we'll have to wait to get rid of this road depot first. And then, of course, the next step is placing a port over near Salt Lake City, and I think we'll get that located probably somewhere around here. I think it'd be cool to maybe turn this into a whole harbor area, so that's why this is sort of a temporary thing at the moment, sort of until we have things figured out a bit more. But we'll get a road placed along here, so we'll just do something like this, and then we can just drag this road over. We'll actually connect up to this one, so we'll do that. We'll bring this up to, I suppose, about here, And then we can... maybe we can extend this road. Because I don't want it to I don't want our connection to mess up the growth of the city. So I think we'll bring this over like so. And then we can connect this up pretty much like this. So then our last stop is placing our truck stop. And we'll get this up here because we'll want it to be out of the way of our bus route so that our buses aren't held up by our trucks. But this still obviously covers everything. And then all we'll have to do over here is, I believe it should just be a truck station that we need. Doesn't look like this is going to fit nicely. Maybe we can get this placed over here. Looks like we can probably just do something like this. Again, it's not anything really serious, so this is all temporary. But we'll change some of this around. We'll probably want it to be asphalt. We definitely want terminal platforms. And let's just get some signs and lighting so that it looks nice. And so that should work out. Again, I think we need a road depot over here because we deleted the one from the buses. So that can actually fit quite nicely onto the end of this street. So that'll be placed just like so. And lastly is a shipyard. And so we'll actually get the shipyard placed over here. And hopefully we can get this close to this road and looking good. So I think we'll place this about here. That looks good. That still leaves a little bit of space here. And I believe if we just do some smoothing, that should fix a lot of this. But anyway, now that this is all straightened out, we can get a boat, and we don't really need anything too big or powerful at the moment since we're really just getting this started. So I guess we'll go with this Wilhelm boat. It's the cheapest in terms of running costs. It's a little slower, the same capacity as this one, but everything else seems to be pretty much the same. I think we'll get 2 because they are so slow. And we'll set up a new line from the Salt Lake City food processing plant over to Salt Lake City in general. And then finally, we'll just need to grab a few of these horse-drawn carriages to then take that food and get it right into the heart of Salt Lake City. Alright, so now let's just double check all of our line rates now that everything's flowing, and then I think we can leave this video off here once everything is sorted out. So first, let's take a look at the Salt Lake City food processing plant. Hopefully the numbers in Salt Lake City have adjusted, although it doesn't quite seem like it just yet. Let's first of all see how much food it's demanding. 26. That's significantly less than Portland, but if we check our line rate here, we definitely don't need 40, so we'll sell some of these. And I think 30 is about a good number to be at. Still leaves room for some growth. This ship, this line is running at a rate of 96, which is way more than we need. So we could actually probably just sell one of these, and that brings it down to 48, which is much more manageable. And then taking a look at this farm line, the rate has actually changed to 122. I suppose as the vehicles spread out, the numbers get a little more consistent, so calculating this rate gets a little more even. So I'm actually happy with that rate. That gets us to about 60 food being processed, 58 I suppose, which is what's actually being produced. And so I'm pretty happy with those numbers. Let's just check in on the Portland food. 48, that's a pretty good number. I think I'm okay to leave this off like this, as the numbers are always going to continue to grow. So right now the rate doesn't matter until we're starting to push the limits of the industries. But we can already see growth in Portland is already jumping up. We can see here in this chart when we started to deliver the food, all these numbers jumped up. So Portland is off to a great start, and I'm sure we'll slowly spread that out to all the other cities as we start delivering more and more resources. Now, I suppose in the future, thinking about expansion and as things grow, it might make sense to put a train station in here, and then we can just truck from all these individual farms to this one station. We can follow along this road then all the way over until somewhere over here by the food processing plant, and that should help out with bringing in an increased amount of grain, but that's something we probably won't have to worry about for probably a few episodes, since our cities are still very small and we probably won't even think about adding another farm for quite a while. And so let's take a quick look at everything that we were able to do in this video with some nice flyovers of our farms as well as our food processing plant. And so with that, that's going to be all for this video. It's a pretty strong start, and I'm very excited to see where this series will take us. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the new format of videos, the time lapses, if they're too short, too long, if you don't want to see them at all, any feedback at all on the videos in general, just so I get an idea of what you guys like. But other than that, that's going to be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.